Welcome back to the podcast, Denise.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be back with you.
I am really excited to bring you back for one of my new favorite topics, which is money, and bringing you back for Money May.
Yay! Money May. Oh, I got my money gun here. I don't even know if it works, but I've got a money gun here.
Yeah.
Money May.
Woo! We like the money. And I really wanted to bring you back because you have this different point of view for why we're stuck, why we're sabotaging ourselves, why we're not moving forward, why, regardless of how hard we hustle, we are not getting to that next level. And I know you've helped me in the past with your beautiful gifts that I don't want to toot your horn too much because I will butcher it. But can you tell us a little bit about how you are, or no, let's back that up. What are some of the things that you see the most often that are getting in our way of making the big money?
Well, I used to cringe at the thought of this because I just thought it was an excuse, but it all stems from our childhood. It all comes from childhood conditioning, what we've been exposed to, what we've observed, what we've experienced, and everything just distills back to childhood. I really hated that because I was like, oh, that feels so yucky going back. Like, we're forward thinking, but actually you got to clean up the mess before you can go forward. So it's all going back and cleaning it all up.
Oh, and you have a beautiful tool that you use to help all of us go back and find those little pieces, which I can honestly say some of them I did not appreciate at the moment, but now I do.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about like one of the main tools that you use to help yourself and others start finding these?
Yeah, thank you. So, I mean, I about 3 years ago, I've done a lot of work around, my own growth. Personal development has become, it's a way of life. You know this as well. It's a way of life. It's not something you do once in a while. It's a lifestyle. So it's been my lifestyle for 20 years, but it's only been the last, I don't know, 10 years. Well, I've really taken an interest in, I didn't realize the words money and mindset went together. So I did a lot of studying around that, but I still couldn't break through something. And it was only when I discovered something called rapid transformation therapy, which it's a hypnotic process that in all transparency and all honesty, when I started delivering this for my clients, I knew it worked because for me, it had been the most, when we have an undeniable experience ourselves, it becomes, the thing that we can share with the most integrity. And so I had the most undeniable experience. But then when I started seeing clients and they wanted to shift their relationship with money, and literally the next day after our session, they were making like phenomenal sums of money, I started realizing the relationship between holding on to, and it's particularly like these particular emotions, guilt and shame. Those are like the bandits. They are the baddies. The baddies that kind of like take a hold in our soul and they stay there. And so many of us have guilt and shame that we don't even realize we have guilt and shame about. And it shows up in the way of like, oh, I'm afraid to charge money for, I can't charge that price for that, or can't charge anything for that. Or I was born with this gift. How could I possibly make money from this gift? And all of these limitations. Or a lot of women, I don't mean to sound sexist, but a lot of women are just like, I just need enough to get by. Why? When there's an abundant universe out there and there's just enough to get by, so the hypnotic process is just so, and there's lots of ways to achieve your goals. But for me, a hypnotic process like this has been the biggest change that I've experienced, and that I see my clients just like popping like popcorn with like incredible results.
Yeah. And there's a reason they call it rapid transformation. You don't have to go to thousands of sessions and like, it's pretty magic. I'm like, I almost want to call it magic because it is rapid. It's like, I've worked on this for 6 years. And then Denise comes in and she's like, haha, let me see what I can do in 90 minutes. And you're like, mic drop. Okay. Where were you before?
I felt the same when I discovered it. I was like, wow, I've spent so much time trying to unlock all this. And actually it happens really, really quickly.
Yeah. So I think you brought up one of the beliefs that I hear a lot when I talk to people, because, I talk to a lot of people, and that is, I don't deserve to make this money, or I just need enough to get by. There's that worthy piece part of it.
Mm,
And, I'm not trauma informed, or what I'm like, I think that's the right terminology for
yeah.
it, to be able to understand the traumas behind it. But I know that you understand it, and you have your own story of how you went from that state to being able to say, yeah, I'm worth this. I'm owning this. I am going to take this abundance so I can go play all over the world. I've seen your adventures.
I think it's work in progress as well. I think we're always like, just when we think we've busted through the next layer, there's, what do they say? New level, new devil. You think, oh, I've got it. I've nailed it now. But another thing comes up. And I just did some reflections the other day. And 5 years ago, when I started in the online space, I was really happy to just, if anyone was willing to pay me anything to just show evidence that the knowledge I had was worth something. And you kind of bank all those things under your belt and think, well, what's next? And if I was 5 years ago looking at me now, I'd be like, oh my God, you've just done so well. But then there's always the next level. It's like, now I want to get to the next level. So, and it's natural for us to want to it's that continuous. It's nice to be, we can be grateful for what we have, and we can still aspire to wanting more as well. And the worthiness, as you say, the worthiness is it's a huge thing, and it comes back. The thing is, it might, when you go back and do the regressions, it may not have anything to do with money at the time. Like, it's the decision you made may be just that, like, your siblings got more than you, got preferential treatment or whatever, like, a Cinderella kind of story where, like, Cinderella, you do that, and everyone else got privileges. And so you make a decision that you're not worthy, and how you do anything is how you do everything. So you'll end up compromising yourself in relationships, compromising yourself in how much you earn. And it's just that whole process of unpicking it all, and giving yourself permission to learn, grow, rinse and repeat.
Yeah. Constant rinse and repeat. And I think that you made a really good point, is it doesn't have to be something major. It doesn't have to be like, when we think of trauma, we think of these big major traumatic events, where it can be something just as simple as how you were treated versus your siblings.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And just to define trauma as well, because when I started looking at trauma, I was like, trauma, doesn't that mean, like, when you turn up in the emergency room and you've been in a car accident? Like, that, to me, that was what trauma was. Because even though I'd studied a lot of modalities, I hadn't looked at trauma as an emotional thing, that it was just a physical thing that happened to people. But trauma can occur to us, like when you've brought up in a poverty-stricken household, or abusive parents, alcoholic parents, not your own birth parents, like, maybe in a fostering situation, or one of your parents were incarcerated, or loss of a parent at an early age. So there's so many things that contribute to trauma. And even body size, hair, skin color, like, all of these things play a role in how people are traumatized, and then have this feeling of, create the feeling of not worthiness. And it can be just a moment in time when you make a decision that you then spend the rest of your life looking for evidence to say, yes, see, I'm right.
And how does the rapid transformation change that pattern?
So it goes in. So this is my eureka moment. One of my big eureka moments with rapid transformation is, before I studied it, I was a huge law of attraction enthusiast. I'm like, I love the idea that, like, we just say we want it and it comes to us. But then I'd be like, abracadabra. And I'm like, where is it? Abracadabra, where is it? And I think a lot of people do that. And they're like, okay, law of attraction, why not me? How come everybody else? Why not me? And so my eureka moment happened when I started delivering the rapid transformation, because I was doing already all these like law of attraction, rituals and meditations and everything. But when I did the rapid transformation, and it was the first time in my life that I would keep copious amounts of notes with my clients, because I had to. And I also wanted to make sure, like, I was calibrating them before and after, like, where are you on the, scale of 1 to 10? Are you feeling super confident, not confident? And then we can check afterwards where they are. And so what I realized after with the rapid transformation is we go back and we identify the root cause, or what your subconscious mind believes is the root cause. And your subconscious mind knows exactly what's what in your life. It is the storehouse of all of your memories. So we go back through a line of questioning and under hypnotic induction, and we find that root cause. And we find the most important thing is we get the feeling. So it's like someone could be telling me the most horrific story, and the picture in my head is just like, oh my God, I can't even, like sometimes it's like, I can't even believe what I'm hearing. And then my job is to just like keep questioning and keep my own emotions out of it. But the most important thing when they're telling me that story, it doesn't matter. And I'll be really graphic with you. Some people are telling me about, rapes from relatives and beatings from dad, like horrific things. And my question is, how did you feel and what decision did you make? And those are so key. Because the decision that you make at that time, people have, that's when people have their eureka moments. They go, oh my God, I got chills just saying this, that they'll go, I can see I made that decision at 5 years old because my father used to beat me up every night. That is still affecting my ability to get a job that I love because I don't feel worthy, or make money, whatever it is. And so as soon as you release that, because at the part of the process, like towards the end of the process, when you realize, you fully acknowledge, a piece that I added in that I'm really proud of is to invite people to say, like, I want you to get the agreement of the trillions of cells in your body. And when every cell in your body is ready to let go of this, and only when every cell is ready to let go of it, I want you to say, I'm ready to let go. So people, this is a moment. This is like, your moment of truth where people go kind of, I'm ready to let go. And that's the moment of liberation. I just got chills again. It's a moment of liberation. And from that moment onwards, there's a whole series of affirmations that go into it. But what you're releasing there is like the shame and the guilt, because I don't think there's been any client that hasn't been distilled down to shame and guilt, and they are the lowest vibrating emotions. And as soon as you clear that, you raise your frequency, because because even if you think like consciously, you're thinking, all right, I did my dancing this morning. I did my meditation. I wrote my gratitude things down, but they're only acute. Those are only superficial. If you don't get to the core, at least this is my experience. This is my belief. And this is what seems to be true for me. And it was almost like accidental that I realized that this is what was happening. When you release that, you change your frequency. And when you change your frequency, everything that you thought that wasn't available to you is now available to you. So people find love. People recover from chronic diseases that they I had a lady who was 6 years with fibromyalgia, and she had a session, and she's still 2 years later, she's still symptom free, back to work, riding horses. She was like housebound. She wasn't doing anything. So what you think, the thoughts you think, just have such a profound impact on what you create in your life, because you can only, when you're a child, you're like a sponge. You're magnetizing all this information and you're processing it. And then the processor that you've got there, the recorder, it's like a recorder, and you can only recite back what's been put in. So if you believe I'm no good, you've never been any good, I'm sorry you were ever born, was what you heard as a child, and someone says something really nice to you, you're thinking of them with suspicion, because you're thinking, well, I'm no good. I didn't even deserve to be here. And you will make things fit that. You will make it fit, because your reticular activating system, which is your sort of filter to the world, can do nothing else but just absorb that information in that way, like seek the evidence. It's like a heat-seeking missile. I'm looking for the evidence that I'm not good. I'm looking for the evidence that people don't want to pay me. I'm looking for the evidence that I need to change myself. I'm looking for the evidence that I need to work hard. I'm looking for the evidence that people like me don't get ahead.
Ooh. I'm letting that absorb. I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I need some more sessions.
But it makes so much sense, doesn't it? That's what we can't, everything that's recorded in our soul you can't change what you're putting out there until you decide that you no longer wish to be a slave to that. Because right now, people are a slave to their old emotions, and they become a slave to money. And here's for your audience, I want them to think about this as well. And this is not a blame game, but this is just an awareness game. And it was one of these things that I'd heard for years, like, that we're a slave. Money is a terrible slave, a terrible master, but whatever it is. But it's something about being a slave to money, right? And I never really got it. I'm like, what does it mean to be a slave to money? To be a slave to money, and this is going to trigger the hell out of some people, and I do it with love, but when you say, I can't afford something that you really want, you're not you personally. A person is being a slave to money. A person is saying, I'm not a resourceful, sovereign being who has the knowledge, skills, and abilities to create the money that I want to do this. You're saying, the money that's out there dictates the quality of my life. And I live in this bubble where people like me only earn so much. We only go on vacation to these places. We only drive cars of this caliber. We would never. And your whole life is dictated by that, then is dictated by what you've told yourself.
Oh, so that's one of the statements I've taken out of my vocabulary, is I can't afford that. I've caught myself. And I think it was you that brought that up when I was working with you, because I catch myself in that all the time. Like, oh, I can't afford that. Wait, I am choosing that is not important enough for me to purchase right now. Because if it was something I truly wanted, I mean, magic will happen. The other day I was going to buy a book, and I'm like, I don't need to spend another $20 on a book. I get out of my car, no joke, it's still as can be, a gust of wind comes up and a $20 bill hits my foot. I'm like, okay, universe, I need that book.
And I think you've said it so beautifully. It's not about saying, well, it is about not saying I can't afford it, but even just adding yet to the end of it. I can't afford it yet, or I'm not prioritizing that. Like acknowledging that you are a capable, resourceful person, because otherwise you stay in victim mode. And I recently have been doing a lot of studying about levels of consciousness, and I think you'll love this. Can I share this with you?
Yeah.
Okay, levels of consciousness. This is way, way, way cool stuff. So there are 4 levels of consciousness. One is called to me, T-O, to me. The next one is called by me, B-Y, me, by me. The next one is through me. And the next one is as me. So to me is victim. To me is, I don't have the money. I live in this crappy house. I never had, things don't go my way. Everything's against me. It's all victim mentality. So to me is the person who feels completely disempowered. Then there's by me. And I think, I don't want to put a figure on it, but a huge percentage of people live in by me. By me is, if I work harder, if I do more, I'll get ahead. The more I do, the better things will be. I'll just keep going. And even if I burn out, I'll just keep going beyond that as well. So by me says, the more I do, the more I get. Through me is, based on our conversation earlier, I would say you're now in your through me state of life, where things flow through you. Things flow, like it's become more effortless. It's become just, more ease, more grace, more flow. This is where most of us aspire to be, but most people stay in by me. And I'm going to talk about percentages in a second as well. And then there's as me. And as me is where you've got, and this is reserved for like the big names, the big gurus, the Christ, the Buddhas, that, it's like the big names in the industry.
So us soon is what you're saying? We're going to be there?
Like us, yeah. So as me is like, you have nothing but unconditional love for everyone and everything. And, there are so few people who, and these are also like frequencies that people, so the shame and guilt would be the victim, which is why you can only attract from the level that you're emanating from. So if you're in by me, you're going to meet more by me people. You're going to provide even more evidence that, you need to work harder. Victim, you're going to invite more victims into your life. And it just works like that. And each one of those levels takes like a massive paradigm shift to get to the next level. Most entrepreneurs will be by me, wanting to go to through me. So they're working their backsides off and they want to get to that place where, when is it going to be easy? They lied. They told me it was going to get easier. So I love those levels of consciousness, because that gives people something to hang their hat on in terms of, well, where am I on that? Where am I and where do I really want to be? How do I want to live my life?
Ooh. I think I'm somewhere between by me and through me, because I'm still working really hard. But there's a lot of stuff that, like the $20 bill, like, okay, the book was $19.99. The universe didn't throw $19.99 at me. It literally threw a $20 bill
at you.
Thanks for the penny. Pennies from the angels.
But I think as well I think a lot of people are by me, wanting to go through me. And gosh, what was I going to say about through me, by me to through me? If you're loving what you're doing, like if you're working really hard and you're loving what you're doing, you may well be in more through me. But if you're working, it's something that you're thinking like, I just need to do this to get by. I just need to, you're more in that by, definitely more in by me. Through me can still be a lot of work, but you leap out of bed because you can't wait to do the work. So, but because it's divinely guided work, rather than I'll just work a little bit harder, I'll just do a few more hours.
I'll just take that client I really hate because that'll give me the extra money.
Yeah, yes, yeah, yes. And you start to shift your paradigm when you make decisions, you think, actually, my life is so precious and my time is so precious. I want to choose who I work with. I don't want them to choose me. And again, that's a paradigm shift, that you choose them rather than them choose. It's a mutual, more than you thinking, pick me, pick me, pick me.
Yeah.
Like they come to you, they kind of flow to you. So that's those 4 levels of consciousness are very, very cool. And they relate to vibrational frequencies as well. So
I love the vibrational, that triangle that you shared, the upside down triangle with the frequencies. I'm like, okay, I've got to at least most days live at least in the top half.
So what's interesting about that, I wish I had it here. It's in my kitchen. I've got that. I keep that chart with me all the time, except right now. But there's a level that is, it's a frequency of, it measures at 200, and it's the level of courage. And when you get above the level of courage, you're in a place of personal empowerment. And Dr. David Hawkins, who created that map of consciousness, and he did kinesiology testing, like muscle testing on, it was like something like 250,000 people, because you can muscle test for names of places and, get oh, something just popped here. You can muscle test for all sorts of things. Like you could say to someone the name Adolf Hitler and they'll muscle test, weak for, bad stuff. 70% of people who were muscle tested, were below the level of courage. We're operating at a place of personal disempowerment. 70% of the population operate from a place of personal disempowerment. It just makes me think there's so much work for the healers, the light workers to do, because even some of them will dip into that point. You'll have your stable base that you stay, but you might have a good moment and you go up a little bit, and you might have a low moment, but you tend to stay around a stable area. So you think most people are spending their life in that low level, personal disempowerment, victim mentality. But we have like, we can. And so we'll come back to Money May. Money May is an opportunity for anyone listening to be thinking now, okay, what talents have I got? What if even if I'm in a job, what can I do outside of, if you want to create more income, and you can start putting to use some of the talents that you have, that you don't need to just pigeonhole yourself, and to question your own, like, maybe if you're in a job and you don't want to be in the job, why am I in this job? Why do I think this job is the only way that I can make a living? Is it the only way I think I can make a living? Am I truly happy? If I had to make a wish about, how I want to make money, what would that be like? Because once you start creating it in your mind, everything you're doing now was once only a thought in your mind. This goes for everyone. Everything only starts with a thought, but we limit ourselves because we're so conditioned out of believing what's possible. So my invitation for the listeners is, believe in what's possible. There's a couple of books I would love to recommend as well. Love Money, Money Loves You. Got to think of the lady's name. Love Money, Money Loves You, and Busting Loose from the Money Game, because they're paradigm shifting books. They're really saying, like, you don't need to worry about money. And people somehow think that if they worry about money, somehow that's going to help their situation.
Don't do it. It does not.
Never in the history of mankind has worrying about money ever led to people making more money.
Oh, so true. And I think it's so true that your wildest dreams sometimes become reality. It's so funny because I opened the production company last year, and I was going back through my stuff from high school because, it's time to purge. I'm a little bit of a hoarder. And I looked through some of my art projects, and one of my art projects, my first graphic design project, was Dragonette Productions. Well, that's the name of my company. That was
and you
in
forgot
2000. I
Oh my
forgot
God.
all about it. And I had already submitted it. It's already the DBA. It's already in process. And I manifested it 22 years later.
Wow.
Like, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, but it's still, your dreams do come true if you start, like you said, operating above that courage level.
Yes. Yeah. And it does take courage. It takes courage because we have to decondition ourselves to who the world told us even continues to tell us who we are. And I think as well, and I think it is related to money, but I think that when we're really honest with ourselves, we realize how much we let other people's opinions dictate what we do. Excuse me. Who would be displeased if I do that? Who would be happier if I did that? Maybe I should just stay quiet. I learned this from a coach I was working with recently. And she said, I just want you to be really, really honest with me. And I'd hired her on a one-to-one basis. And I was like, you know what? I probably have never been really, really honest with like, a thought will come through my head and then I'll censor it and go, that's what I'll tell her. Right. And I never realized I did this until she said, be really, really honest with me. And then I started realizing, oh my God, I censor so much information. So I encourage anyone, and yourself as well, Jennifer, to listen and think, where am I censoring myself? Where am I thinking, oh no, I'll just sugarcoat it a little bit. I'll just make it a little bit, or I won't say it exactly as I want it to be because it won't be good enough if I do it that way. And so learning to be even more honest was like another another turning point as well. And it's, it impacts all areas of your life, your relationships, your financial status, like your own personal well-being, just knowing that you, because one of our biggest fears is, to be rejected. We want to be significant. We want to be accepted. We want to be celebrated. And if the world has told us that, just be a little bit quieter, just be a little bit, play like a nice girl, all these things that we're told to do. I was out a couple of months back. I caught up with a friend, and she works so hard. And she has a son, and like she doesn't sort of inhabit the same world as I do. And she said, oh, my son sees me. She goes, and he works really hard. And she said, I've said, good work. Like, that's really, and I just thought I didn't say anything, but I thought, oh my God, you're conditioning him. He's getting praised for working 80-hour weeks. And that's going to be his future. That's going to be what his future is, because he's going to remember, I was rewarded. I was told I was a good boy when I worked extra hard. So I'll continue to work extra hard. So deconditioning ourselves is such a big deal, because it almost feels like a betrayal of the people we love the most.
Yes. And that's why they all need to come to you to be deconditioned. Where can people come? Like, we're not done, but I want to make sure people can find you. Where can people come and get in touch with you?
So they can find me on my website, which is denisemortimer.com, or they can find me on Facebook, which is Denise Mortimer, and I look like this. There's only a few of us on there. I'm on LinkedIn, and also just recently reinstalled on Instagram.
That was a story.
That was a whole nother.
We'll have to do a whole nother story about your hacking experience. Like, listeners, if you're listening to this and you want to hear about like what to do if you get hacked and people try to scam your people, if you want Denise back for that, let me know, because holy smokes.
Oh my God, what an adventure. Yes. So that's how they can get in touch. Website is probably the best place, or just friend me on Facebook.
I love that. Absolutely love that. And I love this conversation because we are talking about money, and it all does start from within. And I think that's what society has forgot to tell us in the mainstream is you got to love and like and appreciate and move through the trauma and all the things on the inside. Or the outside world's going to reflect your inside.
It always does. Yes. So what I would love to say, if you don't mind, is your listeners to do a little exercise for themselves right now. So, and you can do this as well, Jennifer. Think about like, and you don't even need to say it out loud. Listeners, you can say it out loud or just in your mind's eye. What is like the biggest number of income that feels a little bit, maybe just a little bit out of reach, and just allow yourself to think of that number right now. And what would that allow you to do? What would that enable you to do that you currently can't do? Because when we think about money, we think of it in terms of like, how can we fill our bubble? Like, we've got this money bubble, and what could I do within that money bubble? So my invitation is like to go beyond your bubble. Like if you're thinking, I want to make $100,000 this year, and you go, oh, $200,000. Wow, what would $200,000 do? What possibilities exist there? And then you can just take that a little bit further and just like double, like in your mind's eye again, just double what your highest amount, double that again. And what does that start? What kind of expansion is that? Where does that take you? What possibilities exist there? Because we don't even allow ourselves to dream that big. We dream within the bubble. We dream within $50,000 a year or $100,000 a year, which is, it's not a judgment on anyone, but it's an invitation to think, have I chosen to limit myself thinking I have to live in a $50,000 bubble or a $100,000 bubble, when you could live in $1 million bubble if you want to live in $1 million bubble, if that's what you want to do. And most people want to contribute more. They want to give back. They want to build schools. They want to educate. They want to eradicate poverty. I don't know anyone except from the person who hacked me on Instagram who doesn't want to do good work in the world. So like it just opens up so many more opportunities to you to give yourself permission to dream that bit bigger. And you don't even need to know where it's coming from. You just need to know that you've given yourself permission to go beyond your 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, whatever bubble to just expand your mind around that a little bit more.
And I think one of the things that you said that really stands out, because I think it's another one of the money stigmas, is that the more money you make, the like worse person you'll be. But you said a lot of things of like the way to give back. The more money we make, the bigger impact and change and positive things we can make. If you have enough money to build a school somewhere where there aren't schools, or for me, it's going to be paying for animal rescues because I am all about helping the animals.
Yeah, amazing. Absolutely amazing. And this is it. And because people have grown up with rich people are greedy, rich people are nasty, rich people are selfish, rich people got their money through ill means, like all these things about rich people. So it's like, well, why on earth would I want to be rich? Why? I'll tell you a quick story in just a moment as well. Why on earth would I want to be rich if that's what rich people do? But money only amplifies you. If you are a loving, kind, wonderful person, you're going to, like you said, you're going to have your animal rescue. Like that's, how wonderful is that? How amazing is that? How many happy horses there are going to be in this world?
A lot, hopefully.
Well, there will be, absolutely. And it amplifies you. If you were, an annoying fool beforehand, you'll be an annoying fool when you have your money. So it's only going to make you bigger. So I just want to share this with you. I had a client, and this is a case of how you do anything is how you do everything. I had a client who came to me who she had two failed. Are you okay there?
Yeah.
I
was going to sneeze, sorry.
Oh, okay. She had two failed IVF rounds. She's young, healthy. She's in the right age range to be getting pregnant, looks after herself, like really takes good care of herself. No reason that she shouldn't get pregnant. No physical reason that she shouldn't get pregnant. So when we did the rapid transformation session, what we uncovered is that her mother said to her, she was one of two sisters, and her mother said to her, I always desperately wanted two daughters. I always wanted two daughters, but I always regretted having, I really regretted my decision after I had my daughters. So she let her daughters know that she regretted having them. And so my client couldn't get pregnant. Go figure. Why would she want to get pregnant when her whole thing is, maybe it'll be the decision I regret, the big decision I regret, just like my mother. And this is how we process information and make decisions. And this is no word of a lie. 2 weeks after our rapid transformation session, no IVF treatment, she is pregnant. Like I'm like, I thought this is going to take months. And I'm like, this is insane. This is insane. When you get rid of all that rubbish, you give yourself a whole new lease of life. It's like a cleansing for your soul. It's almost like a rebirth, because it just clears so much rubbish out. And I was like, oh my God, she's pregnant. I'm like, I can't even believe it. I'm like, I got my client pregnant.
That's amazing.
I know. And this is why people end up making a whole lot of money, because they let go of, a lifetime of believing that they can't make it, that they're not worthy of making it. And if they're not making the money, it's like, where else are they holding themselves back? Because it will show up in different areas, because that barrier is not just exclusive for money. It's going to be exclusive for love, or, not exclusive. It's going to be extended to things like love and, just so many other areas of your life. So notice, if you're not letting the money in, what else are you not letting in? Because you could work on that other thing, and by opening up the other thing, you open up the floodgates of financial overflow as well.
Yes, please bring on the financial overflow.
Overflow.
I want a lot of that.
And just imagine it. Just imagine imagine it sort of raining down on you. Just allow it to rain down, rain on me.
Right. Rain on me. I won't sing, I promise.
I was going to burst. I just had to refrain from bursting into song as well.
We should totally burst into song. That's like, I don't know. That's this podcast is all about. Is like, it doesn't have to be serious. It can be fun. Like healing sucks, but it doesn't have to suck forever. You just have to sit in that muck for like, if you work with Denise, it's not that long. Let me tell you, you can get in and get out. You know, it's not hours and hours of sitting in your muck. So I love what you're helping people with. And I'm so grateful that you were willing to come back and talk about this, because it all starts from within, and clearing that rubbish and garbage and clutter, and just clearing out all those things so you can like make new paths to vibrate, on that higher frequency, and just, have little gusts of wind come out of nowhere and throw 20s at
and bring you a $20 note. Absolutely. There is magic just waiting to be experienced. And it's just like everything that you want is there. And it's just you removing the filters that is stopping, the filters that saying I'm not worthy, the filters that saying I have to be another size or a different color or a different level of education or more further advanced in my business or prettier or whatever. None of it's true unless you make it true.
None of it's true unless you make it true. Boom, mic drop. So if someone were to walk away with just that one, again, another mic drop moment, because I'm just going to keep asking because you keep giving them to me, what would be that thing you'd want them to walk away with?
To have the courage to let go of the past and find someone who can help you do that. Don't give me I'll just do it myself. Find someone who can facilitate. And I don't necessarily mean me. I'm good for some people. I'm not good for everyone. Find that person who's going to help you release that connection to the past. Because when you release that emotional connection, you set yourself free. You're reborn into another way of living. So heal the past. It may be ugly. You're going to do ugly cries. You're going to have snot running down your face.